Welcome back to this, already the final segment of today's Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. A lot of stuff happening out there, particularly in the academic front, the way people communicate, and we're going to focus a little bit on that here with Elizabeth McGlaufin. She's with a group called Bluescape. Their website is bluescape.com, exactly like it sounds. And Elizabeth, welcome to the program. Tell us your story, if you will.
Thank you. I'm with a company called Bluescape, and our product is in the visual collaborative workspace. And we started the company and built the product to really help companies work better together. We see in the collaborative space that there's a lot of different tools. There's whiteboards. They have video conferencing. They have conference calls. They have different ways that they work together. But a lot of times, the technology doesn't really help them get the work itself done. It just helps them communicate. So we built Bluescape to really help people better collaborate together, and then when they leave those initial brainstorming sessions, be able to take that work with them, and at the end of the day, produce better outcomes.
Yeah, very good. That's a good summary. And talk about how, the origins of the company. When did it get started? That type of thing.
Certainly. We were started about 3 years ago, and a couple of years before that, our parent company, a company called Hayworth, and they're in the office furnishing space, saw some trends as they were starting to work with businesses in designing their space. The real estate itself is actually shrinking, and a lot of the workers are either in remote locations or they're working at home more and more.
Yeah.
And so the actual use of space is changing. You come into the office to actually work together, to meet, to collaborate, to brainstorm, and then you go back out to your remote offices or your home offices. And increasingly work is done then between locations, so people aren't building huge headquarters and piping everybody in. So they were looking for some technology to help people equip this office of the future, and so they decided to create a software company. We're a subsidiary because they themselves are actually not in the software business, and so they decided to hire a bunch of enterprise folks, and so we founded out here in San Carlos, California, Silicon Valley.
Interesting. Yeah, I actually think a lot of these buildings that I see, including the one I'm in the future, the vast majority of them are going to be torn down and replaced with condos or whatever because, it simply isn't a practical model. We can do so much virtually, and we can do it so much better virtually. And so I think that really does paint the future for this. Talk a little bit about the industries that you work in. It looks like you cover a lot of different industries.
We do. I think if you look at just collaboration, it's fairly horizontal in nature, and so we can help companies better address their collaboration challenges, but we find that there's particular value in the design segments. So if you look at digital agencies that are putting together ideas on how to take their clients' products to market and how they interact in developing those ideas with their clients. People who are building software. So a lot of the software is done with UX design is kind of the way that you paint the picture on how the software works, and that's a very iterative process involving people from oftentimes many different continents and actually building that software. Or products, particularly visual products like cars or office furniture. Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about the size of the companies that you work with. I'm sure there's a range.
Yes. We do have a great range. We're really focused on the Fortune 500, the Fortune 1000, but you see that we're also working with the higher education, with innovation centers such as what the Northwestern's put up with the Garage Project, as well as the smaller digital agencies.
Yeah, interesting. So what would be the sweet spot, if you will, as far as size?
For us, it's around a department or a group of individuals around a project. And so if they're bringing out a product, or if that's a client team working on an agency design or a software project.
So it's almost all enterprise-level size companies, though?
Correct.
Yeah, very interesting. How's 2015 been for you?
It's been great. We've really, really found these use cases and getting some really good value with our clients.
Yeah, very good, very good. Of these various verticals that you're working in, industries you're working with, what would you say is the strongest areas for you, and why?
So, this is where this design thing is coming out because, today, if you're in the design part of any project, in the upfront innovation part, they really don't have tools. If you think of some of the downstream areas, they have places where they keep code, they have places where they manage projects, but in the design side, state-of-the-art today is pen and paper or whiteboards. And if you think about that, once you leave the room, you've left the work. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we're finding that stickiness.
Okay. And so you're saying it's not, again, I see like 15 or so different industries that you work in. What would you say are the three biggest and why?
So if I look at software,
mm-hmm.
Some of these design agencies, and manufacturing of products.
How do you get... Oh, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. And it's largely about that a lot of these companies are working with people in remote areas, and how you share that work and keep on top of the latest work and make designs in real time, it's difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see where that would be the case. Tell me about how you get your clients.
A couple of different ways. Certainly in partnership with Hayworth. They have a lot of companies that they're working with, and as they use Bluescape to engage with their clients, they're bringing us into opportunities. Additionally, we are targeting our segments and finding people within those segments and inviting them in for sessions to work with us in, let's say, a project. And one of the things that we do see, which is kind of fun, is that when people see and experience using Bluescape for the first time, it's really addictive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that opportunity is probably your biggest opportunity to get it sold.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how high level of the process do you have to get buy-in from?
Well, there's usually it's a person who's kind of leading a project. If you think about the head of design, that is a perfect person who has some challenges in how they actually evolve their designs, and they don't have the tools. And so that is one of the key persons for us. Someone who's like, running a movie or building a car.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. And 2015, you said, was strong. What is your expectations for 2016?
Well, 2016, we're going to really hit these verticals hard, and so we're pretty optimistic for a good year.
Yeah, well, sounds good. Final thoughts before I let you go.
Well, we're out here to change the way people work, and we hope to be the standard for how people design new products and take them to market.
Elizabeth McGlaufin, Elizabeth McGlaufin, she's with Bluescape, and that website is bluescape.com. And Elizabeth, thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you. And when we come back tomorrow, we're going to have much more for you. Do want to remind you, best content here, it shows up over there at usdatareview.com. And you've been listening to The Price of Business.